So hello everyone, welcome to another Dojo video. It's again a Tuesday tutorial. We're releasing these every Tuesday, so subscribe to know when the next one comes out. Today we're going to look at a new topic. We looked at Tachi Dori, the sword taking. There's also Jo Dori in Aikido, the staff taking, and there's also the Tanto Dori, the knife taking. So the Tanto in Japanese is a knife. What's interesting is that the samurai used to carry a long sword, short sword, and oftentimes they would have a knife either hidden somewhere or just they would have it as an extra weapon. So since Aikido is a traditional Japanese martial art connected to all traditions, it also includes defense from the knife. Now, the knife itself, obviously it's a weapon you can looking at a sword, you probably won't really find many people with swords. Staff may be more common, but knife is probably the most common weapon you can be attacked with. And also you can use the principles of even the defending against the sword. You can also use the principles from defending against that, but knife is quite straightforward. And now, in my personal opinion, when I spoke to people who are practicing with knives, a person who's really skilled in knife fighting, he might be very difficult to tackle. And the techniques we do in Aikido, the attacks, Tsuki, Yokominuchi, they're quite basic and they're quite formed. It's just one technique. So the way I look at it, the Tanto Dori techniques, they're more a collection of principles rather than an expectation that exactly that is going to happen in my life and I will do exactly this. But rather, if you break it down, and that's what we're going to do, there's a lot of different principles which in a certain situation, maybe 1, 2, or 3 of them you might use rather than expecting to use the whole sequence. We'll use one specific technique, but again, don't look at it with hopes to have that exact situation, but rather take each principle and use it and learn it, use it for your development, and be ready to use it in different sequences rather than the whole thing. So when we look at this video as an introduction video, I'll mention one thing is that when you give a knife, this is probably quite obvious to many people, but there's also beginners, never give a knife like this. Because this is, even if it's a wooden blade, still remember that work with it as if it would be a live blade, so that if any time you change to a live weapon, you have the habits, the good habits. You don't have the habits of pointing the knife at the person, but rather you can either give it with 2 hands in the Japanese way. If the blade is looking towards you, that's more respectful. You can also potentially give it sideways, again, mind the edge. Just don't give it like this either. This is dangerous for yourself. So there's different traditional ways to do it, but just be conscious about not pointing the blade. Be conscious where you point the tip or the blade at. So I'm going to give that to my partner. So there's a few basic Aikido techniques with the Tanto Dori, and if you're interested, you might look at the other ones in the future. Just let me know in the comments if you do. But one of the most interesting and full of a lot of different principles is what we call slash and stab. So in order to do this technique, my partner is going to first step with the back foot and slash, as if he would want to cut my stomach open. And then since I get out of this place, he goes in with the front foot again to step and stab me here. So now when you look at the partner doing this, just look slightly at the technique. I'm holding it behind with the blade forward. So I slash, and in the stab, it's important that you have the second hand here, especially if there's no guard here, no in Japanese called tsuba, because if you stab an object and there's no guard, you're going to slide through, and this is obviously not good for the hand. So in order for that not to happen, there's the second hand to support it here, so it doesn't pop back. So that's why when you do the slash and stab, there's the slash and stab with the second hand. So now the principles we can find here. First of all, the slashing attack is very hard to tackle So for example, if he slashes, I could potentially go in and block him here, but I might be too late. He might be very quick to do that. You could also technically go down, but then it's dangerous. Here's the foot. Obviously, there's always many different options, but a lot of them are quite dangerous. So let's say I'm too late. I didn't notice him. I didn't enter him. So I just simply go back. So I take a back step, and then since there's space, he wants to do an extra movement. He goes with the front foot, and then he stabs towards my chest here. So now the second thing I want to do, I want to first of all move out of the center line. I want to move out of where I was. The knife here is the most dangerous part. I don't want to stay where I was. So now here it's an interesting moment. There is a desire to really block the arm, but if you stay open with your hands here, this is called a koku expression in Aikido terms. His elbow is blocked here, and I have space to move. So now he tries to go towards me. There's no space. Even if he lets go of the second hand, you see I'm blocking the elbow. I'm not only focusing on the elbow, I'm holding also his body and keeping the distance, but this is a good moment to stay at. So now from here, I go into his arm, I grab the arm, I bring the elbow up. So if you looked at our Senkyo tutorial, you know why we do this. And I grab the arm here, and this is a Senkyo. This is a great position to be at. First of all, he's still strong here. I don't want to go straight for the knife. First of all, I do the Senkyo towards him. I move him back. Also, obviously, the knife is going towards him, so he wants to keep the distance. And then, now, if I stop and try to take the knife, it'll be too complicated, too rigid. So when I turn eventually, as I turn, my lower hand slides. Again, mind the edge, mind the blade. Don't grab the blade, but grab around it. And now there's leverage here that when I push the knife, it starts to push on the thumb and it releases. So now, again, I use the leverage here to pop out the thumb, I grab the knife. So ideally I do this as I do the Senkyo. So I turn towards him and I turn towards him and bam, I take out the knife. So now this causes extra caution to him, since I'm not only having the Senkyo, although it's just one hand, but I also have the knife pointing at him. So that gives extra caution to him if he wants to move further. Now, as in a traditional Senkyo, I cut with the hand down to bring him down. And now I still have the knife. I'm going to use an advantage of the knife. As I go around, I'm actually going to bring the blade of the knife at the top of his elbow. Obviously, theoretically, you could slash, but this is Aikido. We're looking at protecting people, so actually what we're going to do, we're going to hold it above. Now I could use just my body to go down, but also in a sense, if he's conscious enough, he doesn't want me to cut him, so he's interested into going down too. So as I bring him down, I hold the knife here so that he would stay conscious that I have him. And now here, again, I still have the knife. Let's say I don't want to drop it. So here I can also use my foot, use my leg to turn towards his head to do a Senkyo here without needing the other hand. So the last thing that I actually missed, I actually went through in the first part, is if you're looking at this technique for the first time, you might be surprised why, as we stand here in the preparatory stance, that my arms are open. This actually has a logical sense too. So let's say we change, and he stands in a traditional Aikido kamae. That's just an easy extra target for me, because if I have the knife, I'm not going to try to slash his stomach. I'm going to try to slash his arms. So you could be very cautious, be very aware, and be ready to move out of here. But then, at the same time, if I hold my arms, it might be a target here. But if I open my arms, now the stomach, the belly is actually quite attractive. I'm kind of inviting him. So if I'm inviting him, he sees that space. There's a chance he will attack here, and there's an extra chance that I will be ready for that. So before you start, you open yourself up, going back, going in, turning, taking out the knife, turning around, and finishing here with the Sankyo. So to sum it up, this was more an introductory and more principle-based tutorial. Obviously, this was a specific technique, but I'm more keen on showing you the certain principles behind every aspect so that if you could take out every aspect, maybe those will come up useful sometime in your life, or maybe they will just help you develop in your Aikido, feel better about your training. So I'm happy about anything that you might take from it. Again, there's many different techniques with the Tanto, so if you want to see some more, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to film some other techniques if you're interested. And if you have any questions, also write them, and I'm always happy to answer them. All in all, thank you to my uke, Egidijus, to the camera person, Eduardas, and myself from Rokas, and I'll see you on the virtual mat again soon.